two things really. And the first topic is this. Anytime a person who's openly religious, Christianity, Muslim, Buddhist, it's a threat. Because, not a threat because they don't like it, it's a threat because people don't know. You know what I'm saying? And we all know or have our own kind of understanding of what Muslims is.
Right.
But do you have any Caucasian friends? Do you go about it in a way where it's like the white man is this, the white man is that? Like, how do we go about it in that sense? You know what I'm saying? For you, obviously, you being who you are right now, you needed a lot of people's help. You know what I'm saying? Now, how you go about attaining that help is on you, and how do you go about it?
You know who John Brown is?
It's many John Browns.
John Brown was an abolitionist. He was a white man in the South. I believe he was in the South. And he fought against other white men because he opposed slavery because he was a stone cold Christian.
Okay.
Right? And I always say, if I got some white friends, they got to be like John Brown. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the kind of white friends I'm looking for.
Yes, sir.
Right? Not just ones that secretly say, man, I don't like what I see in society. People that are actively opposing the things that they see and utilizing their privilege in a way to fight the war on the side of good. You dig?
Fight the war of equality.
Yeah, freedom, justice, and equality.
Right.
You understand me? If you consider yourself to be a Christian and there's something that's done that goes against your tenets, faith, belief, and system, then you have an active duty to do something against that.
Right.
Like, the thing about with white and black, because I don't look at the world in a particular white and black spectrum. You understand me? Because I can see all the colors. You dig? But when I look at the reality of it is, it's not enough white people that stand up against evil. Black people got to do it. Anytime that there was something that changed, it's because we stood up, we fought, we had the dogs against us, we got lynched, we got killed. We was out there doing the work for the most part.
Right.
You dig? So
we stood on something that we believed in, not what they believed in first. Because if they believed
no natural
in
changes.
Correct.
So for me, it's like a person that I like good people. You understand me? And that good really is disregard skin color.
Yes, sir.
Because it's really about who you are. Because there's a lot of people that got the same skin that ain't kin. You feel me? So therefore, I can't tap in with them because people don't have standards of what it means to be black, right? If you say, well, I'm a black man, but you don't treat every other black man that you see as a brother or you see him as a sister, then that's not black to me. Because for me, black goes to the origin of righteousness, right? Because it speaks towards the nature of those people that say that, of course, we not actually black, I'm brown.
Right.
You understand me? But what it's saying is I'm connected to these people. We come under the same code, the same structure, the same culture. So for me, it's about what's the color of your mind? You understand me? What do you represent? What's your values? And then that means that we can be aligned and we can have commonality. If we can't, you can be just as greedy or capitalistic or evil as a white man in that same position because you have the same exact morals, same exact beliefs, right? Same exact thing. So I don't play that game because, and personally, I don't have any white friends. And it's not even something that is purposeful. It's just the way that I lead my life. The people that I find magnetized to what I'm doing are my people because I'm speaking now. I have tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of white people that tap into the platform because I spit universal knowledge that's good for all people.
Yes, sir. So my second question to that point is, who do you find, because the person that I'm seeing today in the flesh was inspired by someone or something.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Who's a person who you were inspired by and who's the person that you're inspired by still to this day?
I'm going to have to say the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Yes, sir.
And Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The reason, let me qualify first the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because he was the most successful black leader of all time. He had his own planes, he had his own barbershops, he had his own schools, he had his own trust, he had his real estate company. You understand me? He had his own standing army. He built a nation within a nation. He had a third grade education. He taught the science of astronomy, physics, philosophy. He taught the best reforming and redeeming method that this world has seen when it comes to taking a lost found Negro and then making them an honorable black man and woman. the teachings that he left behind, no other leader has left the type of catalog of information and knowledge that he left behind. You understand me? So for me, just knowing that a man can take his mind from being a farmer and a preacher's son in Georgia with a 3rd grade education, where he's seen, Ku Klux Klan kill people, right? He once had there's a story in the Theology of Time, a book he wrote, and he said there was a white man he met that had a black person's ear in their pocket. You understand me? That he carried around just so that he can show Negroes and strike fear in them, right? But he still, with growing up in that, seeing people get burned and lished in front of him, had the heart to go out there and still speak. Fearlessly, and speak the highest truth in the land at a time where it was the most dangerous to do so. He was locked up for sedition because he refused to go to their wars, right? He had a multi-million-dollar empire during the time of his passing. So just from an entrepreneurial standpoint, a success of his legacy, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has no equal.
Right.
You understand me? And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan showcases an example of someone who has no scandals throughout his entire tier of leadership. And he was able to bring more black men and women together than any other man in history of time. So for me, I have to look at the mind of those men as what I admire the most. Right? Because I'm always working on my mind.
Yes, sir.
Right? And I believe that if we don't go as far or further than the ones before us, we're not making no progress. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is 80-something today, and he still get on that rostrum and speak for 2 hours. And he be saying something new I ain't never heard. That, like, just from a mental standpoint, it has to be inspiring to see that. And I'm a Taurus, and the greatest speakers in the world is a Taurus. From
Whoa.
yeah, man, I got proof though. Don't even worry about it. I got proof.
No. What day?
May 4th.
I'm 11th.
Okay, yeah, all right then.
Look at that. I knew I liked you. I liked you. That's crazy.
It's proof, see? No, you got Malcolm X was a Taurus. Mr. Farrakhan a Taurus. Dame Dash a Taurus. Shakespeare was a Taurus. And I'm a Taurus. And you a Taurus.
Say less.
You understand me? So that's enough proof right there. But, I'm inspired by, even people like Dame Dash, truth speakers. I'm inspired by Jay-Z. I'm inspired by Kanye, right? I'm inspired by my peers, EYL and Wall Street Trapper, Master Investor, and my brothers Bashir and Jack Heller and my peers Steve and Amechi. Like, I'm inspired by real people that's in my life that I see every day get up and do something, right, against all odds. We come from environments where we weren't supposed to survive past a certain age.
But in those environments, and to that point, I'll say this. It's a lot of hypocritical values in our culture. And I say that because we will sit up here and go on Black Lives Matter, we will meet some more, do all these different things to stand for what's right. How can you feel a certain type of way if a white man kills a black person, but not feel a certain type of way if a black person kills a black person? A lot of our influential people in this day and time, we just lost a soul publicly. And rest in peace to P&B. Didn't know him personally, but that's a perfect example of the white man didn't kill him. Black people killed him. A black person killed him. And a lot of the tragedy comes off of that. So for me, it's like to kind of piggyback off what you said, it's not necessarily seeing color. It's like, what is your mind?
Yeah. But even in that instance of thought, so white people commit white on white crime, but it's not considered white on white crime. Black people commit black on black crime or proximity crime, right? Because if you're a killer, you're going to kill people in your vicinity. You understand? People you have access to.
Correct.
If you get angry and you got conflict with somebody else, right, and it ends up being violent, you're going to commit violence with that person, right? It's proximity. We have the only type of crime that's labeled black on black, right? When Asians commit Asian on Asian, Jews commit Jews on Jewish, right? Any people that's in proximity are going to commit crimes against each other. So there's no proof that we commit more crimes against each other than any other group. So what happens is because I'm on both sides, because there's a lot of people that actually do rally very hard and tough against black on black murder. I just left my son and he got his movement Boycott Black Murder, right? Are vehemently against the murder of us against each other and really just murder, period.
Right.
Right. And then you have the idea that the institution, right, of America has, police officers, right, that people falsely believe that their oath and their duty was sworn to protect us, but it's not. It's to uphold the laws.
Correct.
Right. So these people should not be committing crimes and atrocities against black people at higher degrees than anybody else. They shouldn't be committing crimes against nobody.
Right.
So when we see this happening, it's not just white on white, it's the system against us that we fight against.
Right.
And white crime against black crime is connected to a violent history.
Right.
Right? This is a 500-year history of whites committing the most atrocious and violent crimes, not just in a physical sense, but from Jim Crow, from black codes, of course, from slavery to Willie Lynch to, redlining, right, to Tuskegee experiments, to chattel slavery. They've done things to us, right, that we've never been compensated for, right, and that they've never even apologized for. And I seen Bill Maher the other day trying to justify slavery, saying that it happened everywhere around the world. So instead of them, coming to terms with the type of deeds that they done against us, they trying to justify it and say, forget about it.
Right.
But we don't ask nobody else to forget about it. So that Band-Aid is torn every time a white man kills a black man, every time a police officer kills a black man, because police officers were slave patrollers.
Correct.
So that history of white men getting into jobs, right, that's been connected to being, white supremacists and Ku Klux Klan members, that history is drawn directly from the legacy of slavery. And we ain't been compensated for the work that we've done. Those patents that they stole from slaves have never been taken back and put into the rightful hands. Right? The land that was stolen, none of these things have been made right, so that we know in our heart that some of the conditions that we find ourselves in, because the hoods were made. These are not things that were natural. Ghettos was something they used to describe what was happening in other communities, Jewish communities, Irish communities. Black people were put and subjugated in these environments, thrown in low impoverished environments. The particle matter in the air is bad. There's food deserts, right? There's low income opportunities. The education is bad. So therefore, yes, you're going to get crime. But to the second point is, we no longer have excuses. The reason I say we no longer have excuses is because I'm not going out there preaching how the white man is making us do things and how his foot is on our neck. No. Now we're perpetuating these things against each other. It's a system that's just working now.
Right.
And what we have to do is, number one, there's no reason for us to commit crimes when there's so many opportunities. Now we're going into a global recession, so things are getting ugly. But before that, opportunities galore, right? And so we have to take accountability and extreme ownership, right, on what happens within our communities, within our lives. But before you can change the dynamic of your community, you have to change the dynamic within self and your own family. Without families, because families rule the world. Without families, there's nothing we can do. There is no structure, there's no foundation, there's no integrity to build on, right? And so sometimes we look at the symptom of the problem instead of the root. So we still complaining about symptoms of the disease, but not going to, well, what caused it, so we can build a cure based on these issues. Right. And that's looking at education levels. Mostly is about education, right? My speech now is about these E's, because if we can get in increased education, increased exposure, right? Increase experience, right? And emotional intelligence, and our level of execution, then we can change everything in our communities today.
Right.